humility aside, I was great at Elvish. Just like when people say, I can't speak Spanish, it makes me want to like, it's the same thing with Elvish. Hey, I'm Ismael Cruz Córdova, and Esquire has asked me to just talk about a few things about my life and my career. So let's dive in. How did it feel to learn you'd be part of the new Lord of the Rings series? And one of my earliest moments when I wanted to be an actor came from seeing the first trilogy. But there were no elves that looked like me. So that was a thing that I just put in the back of my head. And then when I went through the audition process and I got there and I became an elf, it felt like the most full circle moment, proud moment. I'm in the process of living this dream. So what was the audition process like? It was epic. it was like 6-7 months long. I got rejected for the role about 3 times, and my reply email was NOP. I was like, nope. And I sent it. It was like, I'm not gonna take a no for an answer. I kept going and going and going. I was in the desert for my last audition, and I shot it in the tent. We had to drive it an hour away in a car and upload it, and that's how I got my final rejection. And they came back around, and now we know how it ended. You play the Sylvan elf Arondir. Can you tell us more about the character? He's a warrior. He's a soldier, actually, that is stationed in the Southlands, and quite different than the other people. He is very curious, which leads him to fall in love with a human, which is something extremely forbidden. She's also very spicy, very curious, does not care that he's a figure of authority. And I think that's what gets him going, that there's no reverence there, and that she's also just an equal. Were you a fan of the Lord of the Rings movies or books growing up? I grew up very poor. There was like not a TV in the house, or nobody had like that kind of technology, but I was like washing cars and like cleaning lawns because I wanted to get my first TV and a DVD, and I finally did it. And one of the first DVDs that I bought was Lord of the Rings. It blew my mind. The design, the elves, how much they love nature. And as an island boy, that's something that I've always felt extremely connected to that, and humbled by and protected. And I'm in pain when somebody brings a tree down or like hurts an animal. It's like, it's all those things. So I identify with the elves. Yeah, I definitely was a fan. Did your friends drive you crazy asking about who the killer was in The Undoing? Yeah, drove me insane. Everybody wanted to know. But the funny thing is that for a while I didn't know. It wasn't until the finale that I all of a sudden saw I got tagged in Kim Kardashian's post. And they were like, they were all hosting viewing parties, and then I went on a rabbit hole and I was like, am I famous? Becoming a thing? There's so much content, so it is so cool to be part of a hit. Whoever says otherwise is lying. Favorite memory of filming Ray Donovan with Lisa Bonet? When Lisa Bonet walked into the first table read, it was, she stops time, but the character had just overdosed, and we had that very raw moment, and she's extremely toxic. The way that she played it, her commitment, something dropped in me as an actor that inspired me to commit more. And I think that day, something shifted in me as a 20-something-year-old. What was it like seeing yourself with the pointy ears for the first time? The first time that I saw myself in the full, just a full look, tears just streamed down my face. It felt so natural and so beautiful. As people of color or minoritized communities of any sort, people that have to struggle, we often get portrayed in the struggle and having to be strong and the grit and the fight and the overcoming. And we often skip beauty. And we often skip moments of elegance, of just sheer Hindu Wallace kind of pictures, And that is important, to see us in that, to create different associations with who we are. And when I saw myself in that, I was the king of the everything. How much time did it spend on your ears in the makeup chair? Almost 2 hours. Well, that was great. My 2 makeup artists, Michael Ashton and Carly Marr, were so kind and caring. And in that ritual, every morning, you enter your character. So I came into the chair, slumped and dejected, and by the second hour, you know, I was like upright and my voice had dropped, and I was already kind of in like my accent and speaking like this, you know. So it really helped me get into the Arondir kind of vibes. What were the most challenging Elvish words to learn? Honestly, humility aside, I was great at Elvish. So I had very little struggle. Now it's phonetically very similar to Spanish. So I caught on that, but I also love language. So you cannot speak in Elvish without doing this thing, you know? Just like when people say, I can't speak Spanish, it makes me wanna like, on my eye. You know, it's the same thing with Elvish. How long did it take you to master the bow and arrow skills needed and any other skills you had to learn for the role? I can't tell you exactly how much. I know that I was training for my life. You know, I'm a new character created for the show, so I also had the possibility of infusing it with a lot of newness and care. I was training in Taekwondo, Kung Fu, Wushu, and a few other martial arts, and I wanted to ground it in an Afro-Brazilian martial art to nod at my Afro-Latino heritage. And on a more serious note, you know, I've had backlash. People have expressed themselves negatively about me playing the role as a person of color, and I prepared myself for that, and that's why I wanted the role. But I knew that I had to do something undeniable. So once you watch the show, I think questions answered, I did the thing. Get into it. Can you remember the lyrics to I Really Love My Hair, like your character Mondo song on Sesame Street? Oh, absolutely. I wrote that song. I wrote the Spanish version of it. I always bring something about myself and what I want to say into my roles. I was looking to visibilize my people and people like myself, and I talk about things that needed to be talked about. And as I said, I grew up extremely poor, and my curiosity, my desire to strive led me to what we do. How did you feel about your character's prosthetics in The Mandalorian? Were you jealous of Pedro's helmet? Those things weigh like 10 pounds, like the tentacles or whatever. They kept pulling my head, so they took my balance off, so I made it part of the robe. And then the fangs, I didn't want to like snarl to show them. So I said, he's just gonna show them when he laughs. So I would be like, and that's the only time they saw it. So that's freaking great. The helmet, nah. Pedro's a friend of mine. I think my character was cooler. Pedro, un beso. I adore this guy, but he stalks me. My favorite question. Maybe she'll say hi now. So I tweeted, all I want for my birthday today is a hello from Cher. I thought about deleting it because I was so embarrassed. But I'm glad I didn't, because maybe she will know. What's my favorite Cher song? Did your birthday wish come true? My favorite Cher song, which is a staple on my karaoke repertoire, is Believe. And did my birthday wish come true? It didn't. So Cher, if you're watching, I mean, my birthday is every day of the year, so you can still hit it up. Hey, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you will watch and enjoy the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. And thank you for your support. Ciao.